Hey guys, so today we are going to move on to cluster 6, day 4 notes. And since we have that extra time now, we are going to break up this lesson into two parts. Okay, part one was released today, Monday, and then the second part will be released on Wednesday for the second part of the lesson. If you notice, this lesson requires us to go over two specific rules: the negative exponent rule and then the power rule. And on our normal school schedule, we would go over these two rules in one day and kind of talk about them. But since we have that extra time, and these are two big rules that are very important, especially in Math 1 when you're talking about polynomials and um, multiplying binomials and monomials and polynomials. It's very, very important. So I decided to go ahead and break this lesson into two parts. So on page 260, we're going to go over that information on in part 2, okay? So if you want to go ahead and flip over to 261, we're going to go over problems 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? So here we go. Power to a power rule, also known as the power rule for exponents. Basically, the rule says this, okay? A to the power of m raised to the power of n. So we're basically saying, a base has an exponent to another exponent. That's what we mean by power to a power rule, okay? You're raising an exponent to another exponent. If you ever happen to see that, the rule basically says that you can multiply those two exponents together. So in case you're having a hard time understanding what's going on here, let me go ahead and write a small statement, okay? When, okay, raising an exponent okay, to another exponent, then multiply the two exponents together. Okay? So that's basically what that rule says. Okay? I gave you the mathematical statement with symbols and letters. And basically, this little mathematical statement tells you when raising an exponent to another exponent, m to the power of n, we can just multiply the two exponents together. Okay, so think back to our other rules. The product rule says when multiplying the same base, add the exponents. The quotient rule: when dividing the same base, you subtract the exponents. Well, now with the power to a power rule, okay, with the power to a power rule, it's telling us if we have a power raised to another power, then just multiply the exponents together, okay? So let's go ahead and do example 1 so you will see how easy that is, okay? So example 1, if you notice, I have 2 to the power of 3 to the power of 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this. So basically, my power to a power rule, basically says I can multiply the two exponents together. Okay, so those two exponents will be 3 times 2. Okay, and they're right here. So you see, the base stayed the same, but because I'm doing 3 to the power of 2, I can just multiply those two exponents to get 2 to the power of 6. Because 3 times 2 is 6. And there's my answer. I have simplified the expression. Okay? Number 2. I have 3 to the power of 2 raised to the power of 5. So the base can stay the same. And since I'm doing an exponent raised to another exponent, I can just multiply those two exponents together. Okay? And so I get 3 to the power of 10. Because 2 times 5 is 10. And there you go. You have simplified it using the power to a power rule. Okay, let's move on to number 3. We have 4 to the power of 2 to the power of negative 2. So using my power rule, I'm going to say the base stays the same. And since I'm multiplying an exponent to another exponent, I'm going to go ahead and, or I'm raising an exponent to another exponent, I can go ahead and multiply. So I can say 2 times negative 2. So we get 4 to the power of negative 4 because 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Now, typically, I would expect you to convert that negative 4 into a positive 4 exponent. But since we haven't talked about the negative exponent rule, I'm okay with us leaving it as 4 to the power of negative 4. Hopefully, by the next lesson, which is part 2, everyone should be able to convert an exponent that is negative into a positive exponent. Okay, let's go ahead and finish out the lesson with number 4. Okay, so number 4, we have 10 to the power of 1 raised to the power of negative 3. So the base stays the same, and since I'm raising an exponent to another exponent, I can multiply the two exponents. And there we go. So 10 to the power of negative 3, because 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And once again, after part 2 of this lesson, everyone should be able to convert an exponent that is negative into a positive exponent, okay? I know some of you might be wondering about number 5, but those types of problems will come later, so you don't have to worry about it, but they're quite easy, but I just don't think I want to tackle that just yet, okay? Your IXL for today is basically going to be questions like this. So if you can follow my instruction, you should be good to go, okay? Let me know if you have any questions.